With no correct way to play Dark Magician, there are truly endless possibilities. From Red Eyes Fusion Turbo to Branded, all the way to Pure, so many players have strived to find viable ways to make the deck playable. St. Marcus, a brilliant mind that has been working endlessly on a variation of Sacred Beast, his favorite deck, and what he's trying to do is make that deck viable at the highest level. We jumped into a Discord call together where he shared his amazing theories and how some of those theories can be transferred over to Dark Magician. I'm here to share his theories with you. Before starting this video, I do want to encourage you heavily to go check out St. Marcus's channel where he goes over the Sacred Beast deck profile, and it essentially covers all the theory in significant depth that I'm going to be sharing with you. He is the mastermind of this particular theory, so I encourage you to go and directly learn from the source. A quick shout out to not only St. Marcus, but to Manjot, Silo, Rishabh, and Mate for lending me a bunch of the cards that are going to be featured in this deck profile. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so amazing when you have friends that can, help each other out. And honestly, this deck is very, very expensive. Wouldn't have been able to even bring this deck profile for you if it wasn't for them. So without further ado, let's get into the profile. We're going to start off with the Dark Magician engine, and it's a lot different than my branded stuff. We are playing the 2 Dark Magicians and the 1 Dark Magician girl. Now, we're increasing the number of bricks. However, what this deck does is it actually is very, very consistent. You are going to be burning through the bricks. You're going to be drawing a billion cards with this deck profile, and 2 and 3 is actually okay because not only does it allow you to have names to send off souls, 2 Dark Magicians in a very bestial heavy format along with Tier, I think might be the play again, even though I'm not a fan of it personally if you've been watching my channel. We are upping the number of Magician's Rod from 2 to 3 from my previous deck profiles. Like I said, this isn't a branded deck profile. Don't worry, you won't see branded fusion. So a lot of these ratios are going to be going against what I've been saying. We are playing 3 Magician's Rod only because we are going to be searching a lot of Dark Magician spell and traps. The Dark Magician spell and trap count has significantly increased from my branded lists, and there are very many reasons as to why, even though it's kind of going against everything I've preached over the months. Then we are playing the 3 copies of Magician Souls. This card is the best card in the deck by far. It always will be. I don't think that's a debate. We are going to be following it up with the 3 copies of Illusion of Chaos, along with the 1 Apprentice Illusion Magician. The reason for this card is simply as an extender. It's a level 6 extender that has tremendous synergy with the rest of the deck, and I'll explain how later on the deck profile. Then we are playing the 1 copy of Timaeus the United Dragon. Outside of being a rank 8 level 9, spoiler alert for the rest of the profile, that is very key. However, it can also facilitate your Dragoon combos if needed. I think the card is fantastic. Then we are playing the 2 copies of Soul Servant. I was thinking about upping this card to 3. However, I felt 3 is a little bit clunky in a deck that kind of burns through all the cards in your deck. So when you start seeing multiple copies of this in your hand, it kind of does get cloggy. I do like it at 3. You could play it at 3 if you want. I kind of narrowed it down to 2 because I made room for Apprentice Illusion Magician. In addition, we are playing the 1 Seekers of Dark Magic, and I'm going to hate myself for this, but we are playing the 1 copy of Dark Magical Circle, the 1 Magician's Salvation, and the 1 Eternal Soul. If you know me, you know how much I despise the Dark Magician Triangle. However, the Dark Magician Triangle being incredibly accessible in this deck, because of how easy it is to, literally burn 20 cards from your main deck, and seeing this triangle is actually relatively free. In addition, Dark Magical Circle, more than anything, even past the idea of banishing a card, the point of Dark Magical Circle is to see and manipulate the top of your deck. This deck wants to draw a load of cards, and having the ability to simply stack your deck in any and rearrange the top card of your deck is incredibly key, right? You may see a future combo piece or an extender that you might need. So Dark Magic Circle is essentially, that's its main purpose, and I think it's very fantastic. And even it comes down to a point where if it's not needed, you see that combo piece, and you simply pitch it off souls to essentially get that last combo piece if needed, or that extra extender, right? So the Dark Magician count is a 20 card Dark Magician engine. If you've watched the channel, you know I don't really like this many Dark Magician cards. However, it's a very combo heavy build, and you kind of need as much access to these resources as possible, and these 20 cards do exactly that. When Marcus showed me this engine and the way it facilitates the different lines and combo lines for this deck to achieve unbelievable end boards, I knew that he was cooking with this. We're playing the 3 Mcetis along with the 2 King Sarcophagus, and then one of each of the Horus cards. Now, each of these Horus cards do have a special effect in terms of like how much they influence game state. They're very good going second because these cards help you break boards on their own because their summonings can't be negated. In addition, what these cards do is act as extenders. They act as extenders that help you go into your rank 8s, which push your game state so far ahead in terms of just like digging through your deck and milling your deck. And King Sarcophagus, this card, being able to use it 4 times per turn is just unbelievable. You open up Mceti and in any other way to facilitate the rest of your combo, you are golden. You are going to be digging 5 to 6 cards out of your deck right away. And then after that, it's just the deck starts to snowball. And that's why these cards are so unbelievably good. I'm going to go into a quick test hand video showcasing how effective these cards can be. Now, the reason why people typically don't play these 3, or they narrow it down to maybe like 1 or 2 of them, the reason why we're playing them is simply to have names. You want to bring these cards, special summoning these cards from their graveyard, and what these cards allow you to do is facilitate. These cards pretty much act as material. Sure, they have their effects that you could use if you get interrupted and things like that. That's all well and good, but the main purpose of these cards is they act as rank 8s. Now, these 5 are the most important parts of the engine. The reason why we're playing 5 is, think of the adventure engine, right? You're usually playing 3 Rites and then 2 Water Enchantress, or the other way around. I opted to play 3 of the Mcetis and 2 of the King Sarcophagus. Reason being is Mceti you kind of want to see in your hand a bit more, and King Sark, if you see more than 2, it can get a little bit cloggy. So St. Marcus preached that this was the correct ratio. I opted to trust him. I tested it the other way around, and I will say that he is correct in terms of this ratio. I'm not sure about all 3 names. I think all 3 names can be a little excessive and can be a little bit bricky, especially if you're playing a lot of the DM bricks as well, right? So these are a little bit excessive. However, the names are so unbelievably important, and until there's a way to make the most out of these cards when they open up into your hand, that's only going to make the deck significantly better. But for now, you have to play this, right? This deck is 100% gas, and that's how this deck wants to win. The next part of the engine is the Bestial stuff. We are playing the 3 copies of Bestial Lubellion. What is Bestial Lubellion? It's a level 8 dragon. Not only that, but Bestial Lubellion pretty much facilitates all your Bestial plays. They're dragons. They synergize very, very well with Dark Magician himself. Especially like Bestial Druiswarm, Bestial Magnuma, and not so much Soronir in terms of Dark Magician. However, Soronir is actually the most important one out of these baby ones, the baby Bestials. Bestial Lubellion is so crazy in this deck because it essentially allows you to have free access into Branded Regain and Branded Beast when you search Soronir, right? So setting up Branded Beast and Branded Regain is an additional form of interruption. However, in addition to the Horus cards, right? The Horus cards are all level 8s. And Bestial Lubellion will allow you to facilitate the rank 8 combos that you can get into with this deck. And I think that's very, very strong. And now, additionally, people are going to be thinking, Matchy, Dark Magicians are rank 7. Why and how are you making rank 8s? Well, there's a very important rank 8 that helps you draw a lot of cards that I'm going to get into the extra deck. In addition, there's a very good rank 8 that acts as an extra interruption after you extend. So I think that's fantastic to have. The Bestial engine, I'm not going to go into too much in depth. These cards have been around forever. A lot of people kind of already know what they do. I just think they have tremendous synergy with Dark Magician. In addition, this Bestial package I played a lot with Branded DM during peak tier format, and I've seen a lot of success with it. So not only does it work phenomenally in the deck, but it's also a package I'm very, very comfortable with, and one that I've always thought about revisiting, and this is a perfect opportunity to do so. Now we are playing an interesting Synchro package in addition to all this. This is another St. Marcus Spice. We are playing 3 copies of Vision Resonator and 1 Crimson Gaia. These cards are actually fantastic. Crimson Gaia, I was not too sold on when he first showed me how effective these cards can be. The Vision Resonators are fantastic. They're just free extenders. But Crimson Gaia just being an unbelievable card in and of itself, I strongly recommend everyone to think about this package when running this deck. It's not mandatory in this particular list. This is definitely an optional engine. However, what the idea was these were going to be hand traps. These 4, along with some of the other Dark Magician spells and traps, were going to be hand traps, board breakers, things like that. The thought behind all that was this deck wants to win the dice roll. When this deck pops off, it's going to win you games. There are, like, unless you significantly brick, which, believe it or not, this deck doesn't really do. It's very consistent. Or if your opponent opens Droll and Lockbird. If your opponent opens Droll and Lockbird, you just lose. And sometimes that's just the nature of the game. Droll is a kind of a prevalent hand trap in this dice format. So we were thinking, I was talking to St. Marcus, and we were thinking, okay, can these be like an Ash or Forbidden Droplet and things like that? The thought is no. This deck is 100% gas. When it goes first, it will win games, assuming your opponent just doesn't have the out. This deck wants to go first. It wants to win you games. So why clog the main with hand traps and things like that? The Horus stuff is essentially what you're going to be using to break any boards that your opponent may set up going second if you lose the die roll. Obviously, there's a side deck that can be facilitated when going second in games 2 and 3. And I think that's kind of where the thought process of the deck is headed. This deck is very similar in terms of like those like Mana Diem, for example, where Mana Diem, although it can break boards going second, it strives to go first. And if it goes first uninterrupted, you're going to win that game. And that's the same thought process behind this deck. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. It's a solid 40. We thought about bumping up to 41. We opted not to. And I think that the deck performs exceptionally well. I can't wait to go into some test hands with you guys later on in the video. Going on to the extra deck, I think this extra deck looks vastly different than any extra deck you're going to see for various Dark Magician deck profiles, because it facilitates a lot of XCs, synchros, and things like that. For the fusions, we are only playing the Dragoon and the Dark Magicians. The Dark Magicians is simply you play the Dark Magician Girl, the Dark Magician. If you open that with like a Secrets and no access to Dragoon, the Dark Magicians just allowing you to draw cards is very effective in this particular list. This list wants to draw all your combo pieces. It essentially wants, this deck, what it wants to do is draw into all the pieces you need to facilitate a godly end board. In addition to this, we are playing the Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon, the Baron de Fleur, the Chaos Angel, and Bestial Dispatter. These cards are all part of the the Vision Resonator package. Chaos Angel can be made with 30 different ways in this deck, from Rod and Dark Magician, or cards like Timaeus and Resonator, or Bestial Lubellion Resonator, and things like that. So Chaos Angel, the reason why I never liked Chaos Angel in DM or branded DM and things like that is because Chaos Angel never got its full value. This card was always made off 2 darks, and it never had the impact that this card could have had. In this list, I think more than anything, Chaos Angel really strives because it can be made with both lights and darks, giving it its full value. Baron de Fleur and Dispatter are just crazy cards, crazy generic synchros that do so much. Going into the XEs, we are playing the 1 Coach King and the 1 Hope Harbinger. Now, these 2 XEs are the rank 8s that we typically go into. Coach King gives you pretty much 3 free draws. that's what it does. It's so crazy with how effective the Horus cards are and how easy they are to summon. Just digging 3 cards deep into your deck and then making further extension plays is just crazy. Hope Harbinger being a spell trap negate after you've already built your board is just unbelievable. And finally, the last Xyz we're playing is the one Beatrice. We are playing a lot of rank 6s, with Apprentice being a free summon, or Dark Magician Girl off Magician Souls. Beatrice is just very, very free in this list. And just being able to dump like cards like Saranir or Soul Servant or the Dark Magician himself to facilitate draws and things like that. She's just really, really strong in that regards. Then we're playing the links. We're playing the one Artemis, the one Selene, the one Dark, and the one Access Code. Before making this deck profile, I completely forgot I lent these 2 cards out. Is what it is. We are playing the one Saryuja because after Coach King, who doesn't want to draw more cards. And finally, we are playing the one copy of SP Little Knight, which I have yet to own. SP Little Knight is just, if you're not playing SP Little Knight in any deck right now, you're going to lose. You're immediately at a significant disadvantage, only because of how generic and how strong this card actually is. So that's it for the extra deck, and what I want to do is I want to quickly thank St. Marcus once again before getting into a combo video with you guys. I want to thank him again for the theory. This deck is unbelievable and unbelievably fun when it pops off. It feels so rewarding. I think it's definitely an awesome alternative to play Dark Magician. Do I think it's competitively viable? Yes. Do I think it's the best variant of Dark Magician? Not yet. I'm not convinced just yet, only because I think it loses to a little too much. And it flat out loses, right? With other variants like Dark Magician, for example, with branded Dark Magician, I don't feel like you lose as badly to certain interruptions as you do with this list. However, when this list pops off, there aren't many decks that can beat it. So without further ado, let's get into the combo video. Going into this test hand, I'm not going to be going into a direct play-by-play. I'm going to be saving that for a future video where I'm going to be doing a plethora of different test hands and explaining my thought process and different lines of play I want to go into. For now, just enjoy the test hand I'm going to be showing in the background. I'll briefly chime in and out of it, explaining what I'm doing. For example, here we start out with the Bestial Lubellion play, grab it, and then we're going to activate Illusion of Chaos to grab our rod. And essentially what we're trying to do is essentially figure out a way to get a Dark Engrave. We're going to link off Rod to have access to that Dark Engrave now. And then we'll activate our Branded Regain. And here essentially what we're going to be doing is figuring out a way to maximize our value off Soul Servant. Because not only we don't want to waste a draw off Soul Servant here. So what we'll do is we'll utilize Branded Regain into drawing a card that we're going to be stacking off Soul Servant. So that Soul Servant's draw effect engrave is still very much alive. So Branded Regain is essentially going to take that Banished Magician's Rod, put it to the bottom of the deck, and we're going to stack our stacked copy of Secrets of Dark Magic, which we'll then use to make the Dark Magicians. Here, normally you could make Dragoon, however, Saranir on field is very, very important because it's essentially going to be fodder for Bestial Lubellion. And Dark Magicians is going to give us access to an extra draw when we activate our copy of Soul Servant. Here we'll just do our standard plays by pitching Saranir from the field to summon our Lubellion. Saranir will essentially pitch our Bestial Magnuma from deck to grave. And Lubellion gives us immediate access to Branded Beast. We're going to use our Soul Servant to draw one card. We drew into Dark Magicians, and the Dark Magician is going to draw Imetsi from the top of the deck, which is huge. Imetsi is going to pitch Dark Magician to add our copy of King Sarcophagus, and then we're going to draw one card. Now, the beautiful thing about Vision Resonator in this particular hand is we're not shotgunning, because Vision Resonator is going to be amazing discard fodder as it replaces itself in hand. Sure, the card it searches here is Crimson Gaia, and Crimson Gaia is the card that allows us to replenish the Vision Resonator in hand, which is pretty much free, right? You don't go neg. The only issue I have is that Crimson Gaia is now dead on the field, as you'll see here, and I'm not too sure if I like that just yet. However, what I want to do is, I can't stress the value of King Sarcophagus, as this card is not once per turn, it's not twice per turn. You can use it 4 times per turn, which is just unbelievable. We have the extra Horus name in hand, so guess what we're gonna do is we're gonna King Sark, pitch it to add another Horus card to grave. Now we have all 4 names in grave, which now this deck can just snowball its endless advantage. Now what we'll do is we'll set up a negate just in case our opponent has anything here like a Nibiru. We're going to activate our Vision Resonator. Special summoning itself from hand because it's a free extender. We're gonna synchro summon with Bestial Lubellion into Bestial Dispatter, which synergizes tremendously well with Regain and Beast. And now our Horus cards really show off their value. We can special summon them for free. They are not activated effects, so your opponent can't negate these summonings. And we're going to make our Coach King. Now what Coach King does is essentially Coach King is going to allow us to draw up to 3 cards in our hand here. We're going to draw into our copy of Magician's Salvation and Bestial Druiswarm. We don't want to activate the last effect of Coach King because we just want to thin our deck a little bit more, activating Salvation, grabbing our copy of Magician's Souls, and setting it to the field, which is, you know, just free. We'll use our last draw for Coach King, and we drew into Magician's Rod and Bestial Druiswarm. Now we're going to summon our last Horus card, which is just crazy. And now we can just go into an SP Little Knight. How amazing is that? It's just free for 4 free bodies that allow you to just extend into Link plays or rank 8 plays and different lines like that. If we don't want to go into SP Little Knight, we can go into Hope Harbinger, which is really, really strong as it's a spell and trap card in a negate, but SP Little Knight has 100% of the hype right now. I just, you know, if you can play it, why not play it? In this particular test hand, we're going to end on the Dark Magicians, Bestial Dispatter, and SP Little Knight. So that's 3 interruptions in and of itself, because Dark Magicians allow you to draw a card, which is kind of a cool interruption. Branded Regain is an interruption, as is Branded Beast, with a Bestial in hand. There's not many situations where your opponent's actually going to be able to play through that. And if they do play through it, you just have so much gas on the follow-up, because Branded Regain's a free draw. Dark Magicians is going to give you a draw. You have a normal summon of Magician's Rod, which is just kind of like endless fodder. And now my final conclusion with this deck, I think the deck is like any other combo deck. When it snowballs advantage, when it can pop off, there isn't a situation where it can lose. My concern with this list is that it loses to a bit too much. Here, it loses to a Dark Ruler no more. It forces, like a Lightning Storm or a Feather Duster, forces an interaction from you. And I feel like once you start burning these interactions for these crazy board breakers, that's when this deck significantly lacks. In addition, Droll and Lockbird just kills this deck outright. It is what it is sometimes, but like I said, this is just a brand new way to play Dark Magician. It's so much fun. Dark Magician never really had a combo variant outside of like Dodo's Ritual build, which this is kind of a new spin on the deck, and it's just a lot of fun. I encourage you to try it. There are some changes I want to make, but in a future video, I'm going to be going into some test hands with this particular deck just to show you guys some more varieties of lines and different routes you could take the deck. In addition, expect so many more videos from me. I have one more deck profile coming out that's completely different. I'm super excited about that. In addition, I have a very special video expected to be dropped in about 2.5 weeks if everything goes to plan. So I can't wait to share that with you. For now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.